guys, my name is Byron with Bug Out with Byron. Alright guys, today we're here with Mark Brown with Bug Out with Byron.
Hello.
So today we're going to be going over Mr. Mark's plants and what he has right now.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, we got some cherry tomato plants here. We got a few pepper plants growing in here. You can't really see them. We got some cucumbers back there. And we got a couple watermelon plants.
So in your opinion, Mark, what do you think are real good starter plants?
Well, I'd say your tomato plants are good. Which these little cherry tomato plants, they go with anything, salads, whatever. Just eat them right out of a bowl if you want to. And you got your bell peppers. Of course, they go with anything. You can fry them and just make whatever with them. And then, of course, everybody loves cucumbers and onions. And who don't like a watermelon? I mean, my goodness. But yeah, I mean, as far as me starting my garden, that's probably what I start out with is I start out with cherry tomatoes and then your regular tomatoes. Probably a big boy or something like that.
What's your grow light right here for?
Well, that I guess that helps keeps them warm and germinates them when they're in the dirt. Kind of pretends to be the sun, you know. Heck, I don't know. I just thought it was cool and I bought it.
So talking about the dirt that they're in, you put them in these little plastic trays?
Sure.
And then what kind of soil or dirt do you use?
That Miracle Grow garden dirt. Yeah, that's what I bought.
When do you put them outside?
Derby day, when the horses run, it's a good time. Starts to warm up, ground's warm. Most seeds take off and go and whatever. Corn, pretty much plant anything out there after Derby day.
And then what happens like right now, it's in the middle of May and it's pretty cold.
You want to take a tarp or a bucket or something and put over your tomato. Any plant that you've got started, you want to cover so the frost don't get it. And wish you luck on that deal.
What happens if it gets too hot out there and your plants start to shrivel up?
God, add water and pray. That's all I can say.
So what about normal watering? What's the normal watering schedule for your plants?
Generally, if it's a real bad drought, I'll start using a sprinkler. But normally, your ground hold enough moisture to keep everything going. You just you'll know when it's time. I mean, if it gets, anybody that watches the news knows there's a drought. They'll take care of it.
So what about in your starter plants when they're not outside and they're in the soil that you give them? How do you water them and how often?
No, I just do the old finger test. You know, you can feel your soil's moist. Keep your soil moist. And if she starts to look a little dry, put a little on top and fill your tray up, and it'll hold water for a day or two. You know, just keep them wet. That's all you gotta do is keep them wet.
With your tomato plants, I know a lot of people put cages around them. Some people don't. What are your thoughts on cages?
I do cages, but you buy the heavy duty cages. I have found that out. You buy them little ones, they don't hold up. They'll just fold over. You buy the heavy duty ones. I generally put mine on as soon as I put them in the ground. That way I can feed them through and make sure they're all inside the cage. And if they get super tall, you can either trim them back or they got some rods you can buy and you can stake them down and wire those up. That way they'll be more structure to it and hold them up. But yeah, yeah.
How often do you tend your garden out there with all the weeds and stuff?
Well, yeah, good idea is to hoe at least once a week. You know, don't over-till. You can over-till. If it rains or something, you let it go for a while because it's got that crust on top and it'll hold that moisture under there. If you over-till, it'll dry your garden out. Yeah, you don't want to over-till.
And then roughly how far apart do they need to be whenever they get bigger?
I go about 1.5 feet or so between each tomato plant. That way you give them enough room to, you know, get enough sunlight after they get so tall. As far as cucumbers and stuff, them kind of just go wherever unless you put them on on a, like get you some old hog fence or something and hang them up and let them grow. But no, that's, yeah.
And then going back to tilling, what all do you have to do to start prepping for your garden? And when do you start prepping?
I generally start probably a month and a half before Derby. That way, if you're tilling up any grass or weeds or whatever, all that kind of dies out. Go ahead and put you some fertilizer in there and turn your soil over. And it's usually in pretty good shape by the time Derby Day comes along and put your seeds in the ground.
And then what do you do whenever your garden's completely done? And when is that time roughly?
I guess you just reap what you sow, buddy, and just eat it as it goes. I'm not a big canner, so I can't really tell you about all that. We just kind of eat what we can get, and I might save my corn on the cobs and things of that nature. Make some tomato juice. You just keep an eye on your garden. It tells you when it's ready. I mean, you know when things are ready.
And then whenever it's completely done for the season, what do you do?
Well, I generally let it dry up, and I'll pull my cages, and after everything's dry, I'll wait for it to it'll get dry enough to where you can burn it off, leave all the ashes and everything in there, and then later I'll break it up and start over again next year.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you being on the channel.
Yeah, you bet.
Give a big thumbs up if you like Mark's garden so far. All right, guys. Now that we're back inside, we're going to talk a little bit more about other people's gardens. So I asked my Aunt Misty if she'd be willing to send in a couple pictures of her garden, and they have what they call the Grimsley family garden. So it's my mom's side of the family, my aunt and uncle Charles and Miss Misty. You know how in the video Mark was talking about if it gets too cold, then you have to put tarps and buckets over your plants if it starts frosting over and stuff? Well, sometimes that even doesn't work, and you're just kind of out of luck on that. You just have to hope that your buckets have enough cover for it. And I actually asked my Aunt Nikki if she could send in a couple of videos and pictures, and sadly she announced to me that the garden was pretty much gone due to the frost and everything. So you have to be really careful and really just look at the weather whenever you're doing all the gardening and stuff. Mark's plants under the tarps and the plastic wrap didn't fare too well either. Again, guys, give a huge like, thumbs up, and subscribe for more videos, especially if you liked Mark's garden. So I realized that YouTube has the guidelines that if you have the children appropriate content, then the comments are disabled. So I do apologize for that. I didn't know it, and my editor Dawson Poole had actually informed me that my comments were disabled, and that's why I wasn't getting a lot of comments. So again, guys, I do apologize. I have an email. If you go into my information on my YouTube channel, then you can go and look at my email. So if you want to shoot me emails of your thoughts, opinions, or send me a picture of any animals that you have, or even a video of anything you have. If you have any type of survival setup, or if you have a knife that you really want me to review, or if you have anything, then just let me know using my email. So we had actually been videotaping Mr. Mark's garden for about 3 weeks before we shot this video. And he honestly had no idea that we were shooting his video. We had snuck him inside the house and we secretly recorded it real quick. And we did that for 3 weeks, 3 Saturdays. And so here are the kind of the stages. Here's the first week. Here's the second week. Here's the third week. This is my favorite part, guys. So after the third week, we went over for the fourth week, and we actually videotaped him. So he watched the video Wednesday night, and he had no idea that we were going to film his garden. And so whenever me and my girlfriend Casey went over to his house, I had Casey video record me asking Mark, I'm sorry about the video quality, guys. You can't really hear too well. However, he was talking about that. He was like, huh, he goes, I thought you knew another Mark. He goes, then I realized it was me you were talking about.
Works, I didn't mess with you.
You like it though?
Yeah. At first he's like, yeah, I'm gonna Mr. Mark's garden. I was like, yeah, he knows another guy named Mark. Didn't even dawn on it was me.
And so he honestly had no idea. And I thought this was a perfect video setup. My girlfriend's brother, Anthony, had told me, you need to tell Mark you love him in one of your videos. Just because it's real funny. However, whenever I say it, he acts real weird about it. And so I was like, well, I can't just go out and randomly say, hey, Mark, I love you in one of my videos. And Mark's like, yeah, everyone think you're gay or something. And so I was trying to figure out a perfect video setup for it. And I finally did. I had been recording his garden for 3 weeks, and then I just surprised him with our last video, telling y'all how I was gonna go video his garden, and he had absolutely no idea about it. That was a pretty cool experience.
And then it finally hit me and goes, I love you, Mark.
After today's video, Thursday, we'll be going into a firearm stage. So like what we had talked about in my intro and a little bit of times after that, is that Bug Out with Byron has 3 main focuses. We have survival, we have homesteading, and we have firearm life. And so we already went over our survival life, talking about the 5 C's of survival, and we're halfway into our homesteading series. We went over just an intro to homesteading. We went over good starter animals for homesteading. And now today's video is about the gardening inside of the homesteading. And so Tuesday, we'll be going over a couple videos of firearm life. So definitely stay tuned if you want to know more about firearms. I think for Thursday, it's going to be about safety, because there's nothing more important than safety on a firearm. So I think before we really even talk about firearms, we need to talk about safety. With Mr. Mark's garden, he had those little plastic trays that he put the seeds in and plants in. That is absolutely perfect. They're pretty cheap, but if you don't want to go out and spend the money on trays, the little plastic trays, you can do what my sister did right here in the video, and you can actually use old egg cartons. So you can save your egg cartons, or you can ask your family members or your neighbors and stuff to help save egg cartons, and that's perfect starter plant. And eventually you will have to move them out, and you'll have to move them out a little bit sooner than what Mr. Mark has with the plastic trays. However, if you're looking for a cheap route, egg cartons are perfectly fine. Alright guys, so I guess that'll be it for today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed. Like and subscribe. Oh, one more thing. So for the month of April, we got a message from YouTube saying that we have 1.5k minutes watched. So that adds up to be just a little bit over 24 hours. It's 24.8 hours of watch time. That is absolutely amazing, guys. I really appreciate all y'all's support, all the shares that y'all do, when y'all like my stuff. I don't really like when y'all don't like it, but I love it when y'all like my videos. We had got some comments before they disabled it, so we've been getting a lot of revenue. I had 60 subscribers for the month of April, so guys, again, that is awesome. I hope for May we can double that, so get it to 3k minutes of watch time. We'll get it to 120 subscribers. So keep on showing all your friends, texting them, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any social media platform. Just go ahead and give me a shout out on there to help my revenue. I really appreciate it, guys. Bug Out with Byron out.